All right, so I think I will properly welcome everyone. You are in a workshop to sort of, hopefully, I can inspire you about ways of gifting without plastic and with minimal waste, eco-friendly. And I will also demonstrate to you how to make a fermented relish with cranberry and persimmons. My name is Karen Wong Diggs. I am a certified nutritionist, a chef, and a person who's very passionate about fermenting, as many of you know. I am also the Chief Fermentation Officer for Crowdsource, which is this fermentation top here that fits onto mason jars, and also for Shuami. Basically, these two function exactly the same way, but crowdsource fits onto American-made mason jars, and Shuami fits onto the French-made Le Parfait glass jars. So it's just basically two versions. And by the way, for those of you who have been asking about crowdsource, it will be available again, hopefully in December. A shipment is on the ocean as we speak. Hopefully, it'll make it here in good shape, and we will definitely let you know when crowdsource returns. But in the meantime, or for those of you who like to just try a fermentation top, Shuami is definitely available. All right, so that's kind of where we are today. And I welcome all of you, whether you are joining me for the fifth or sixth time, or you are just brand new. This is my kitchen, and I have been fermenting and cooking out of this kitchen for almost 20 years. So this is definitely where I spend most of my time. And I really want to encourage people to spend more time in their kitchens because when you do, you really provide a level of nourishment and also sustainability that cannot be found if you are ordering a lot of delivered food or going out to restaurants. Of course, going out to restaurants is fun and all of that, but also when you go out a lot, it does cost a lot of money and you're not really getting into the habit of creating things at home. Particularly in this time when we have a lot of environmental degradation, toxins. For some of you who might have attended other workshops, I'm very concerned about our exposure to nanoplastics. And so I don't use any plastic food wrap. I try to really minimize bringing home anything contained in plastic, although I know that's very, very challenging. And I'll kind of address that point as we go along. And actually, our special guests, whom may be joining us now or a little bit later, Laura and Behzad of Toxi Free, I invited them on because they have really done a great job at educating the public and also in their own home and kitchen. They have basically gone plastic free. So I just find it really inspiring to have other people tell us that they have done it. Okay. I am very much still trying to do it myself, but I am definitely happy to share everything that I have learned along the way. And just to say, trying to not use plastic, trying to be more ecologically minded, doing more things at home, making your own gifts, it takes time. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. And you shouldn't try and like change everything suddenly because that is really stressful. And I find that that's usually when people just give up. So instead of trying to do everything all at once, choose the easiest path that really resonates with you first. And then we go step by step. And definitely that has been what I have done for myself. All right, so having said that, I'm just going to quickly check with Vicky. Vicky, have our special guests joined us yet? Laura and
I do
Behzad?
not see that they are here.
Okay, so
Um,
that's all right. I just want to make sure.
okay,
So if you see them come in or if you see a new person, oh, there's Laura.
there's Laura. Okay.
Laura is still under my name, but she's wearing the
Yes, I
glass.
see her waving there. Yes.
Okay. Can you also highlight her and unmute her?
Mhm.
Hey, Laura! Hello, hello.
Hello.
Thank
Oh
you
my,
so much for joining me. And there's your beautiful store.
yes,
Oh my
and our look at our favorite product here.
God. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh my
You're
gosh. And you know
you're
what?
a celebrity here.
Oh my God. No, and Laura, you and Bezad and your two adorable little puppies are like celebrities in my world. So everybody, for those of you who do not know Laura and Bezad, they are both, well, you were educators, right, Laura?
Yes, we both were. And so we just read our way into trying to figure out how to become entrepreneurs because we were both English teachers.
I love it. I love it. I mean, the fact that you have this educational background and now both you and your husband Bezad have dedicated your life basically to teaching people about toxicity in the environment. And you have this brick and mortar store in Minnesota. Laura, I know you're going to be busy with your store, but can you quickly share with us your journey and how you started Toxie Free, why you had to become toxic free, basically?
Yes, thank you so much. What a privilege. We adore you and everything you've done. We talk about you all the time.
Stop
Because
talking about me. I want to hear about you.
okay,
Tell me
okay.
about your story.
So I tell people who come in when you read every book in the library about your house, this happens. And so I there was gosh, uh when I was age 11, to go to junior high, we had to do a physical, and the doctors diagnosed me with autoimmune disease and gave me a pill and said I should take that until I die and not miss it. And so I really struggled my whole life with my weight and feeling my best. They diagnosed me with Hashimoto's, which is my thyroid's not, they say, not working. So um, yeah, so I just thought food was very stressful. I didn't know how to cook. I was eating processed foods. And so when I started studying on my own of like how I could be the healthiest human possible, I learned about nutrient dense food. So that was the first step, was finding the food. And then that was so hard to find, like based on good soil and what the animal protein, what the animal ate, the seeds for plant protein, like where did those come from? The water that was used to grow them. Like I just was thinking of all of that. And so that food became the most valuable thing because I was transformed in how I felt. And then I started questioning, what am I cooking it in? What am I taking it out of the pan with? What am I storing it with? And that is where I started thinking about all the ingredients in everything in my surroundings. Like, what is it made of? How is it made? Where does that come from? What is in my environment next to me? What's like getting, oh, what's the word? Touching my food, like what's shedding into my
Yes.
food as I cook it, things like that. And so I really, because I put my health first for every decision, I accidentally became plastic free. So I just looked for the most natural items possible for my basic needs. And then I really kept reading and learning, and I learned that there were hidden, like things that didn't weren't as obvious, like clothing, ink, like printing. those are synthetics and plastic. Most of our clothing is what's causing a lot of the plastic pollution. So just learning those things. Oh, and it's because of the dyes as well in our clothing. The synthetic dyes are plastic coating natural fibers. So yeah, I I know that it can seem overwhelming. However, the reward of putting your health first is similar and much better. I would say not much better, but scaled, like it's compounds. When you put your health first with all of your decisions, it's, a lot of people say, oh, self-care and take care of myself, put my oxygen mask on before others. This like takes you, it is so liberating to know that as a human, you've done everything possible for your health and put that first. So your spirit just becomes so liberated by doing that. I don't know if that makes sense at all.
No, oh, absolutely, Laura. And thank you for being so just so open to share with us your own health journey. And you are like reminding me again how important it is. And you're absolutely right. I mean, for those of us who are, you know, trying to do better for the environment, for animals, for whatever, but you are absolutely right. The fulcrum is really when we think about how to protect ourselves, like you said, the analogy of put on your own oxygen mask first, because if you don't, you can't save anybody else, right? So I love that analogy. And basically, you succinctly express what I really want to share in this workshop is ultimately, we're going to talk about gifting and making a fermented item, but ultimately it's about um, making ourselves healthy. And you're absolutely right. The shedding of nanoplastic particles. I read the book To Die For, and that's DYE, everyone, To Die For. And I'm currently reading a book called Worn, WORN, about the history of linen and cotton, silk, and so forth. So the clothing that we wear, unfortunately, could be more problematic than driving a car. I mean, because it's such a ubiquitous and strong industry, right, Laura? The dyes that go into, like you said, is dirtying everything left and right. And polyester is really a petroleum-based product. So, yeah,
Yeah, I think those are tricky because it's fabric. So and
yeah.
soft um and so it doesn't seem plasticky, and even though it is. And that another thing is really physically, oh my gosh, when you get the real natural undyed or plant dyed, it is so wonderful to, even if you just have a few pieces.
Yep.
And that's a great way to start, is just with a few pieces, and you'll find yourself wanting to wear those again and again, because it makes such a big difference that we're all so unaware of, because we're used to just clothing being clothing. What's
Yes, I know, I know. And Vicky, if you could drop that link about fast fashion, that article, some
I
people
have,
might find it
I've
interesting.
dropped the link in there,
Thank
Karen,
you.
and we have a really good question
Yeah.
for Laura. Is it less toxic to buy secondhand clothing that have already been washed so many times?
Yeah, that's a great question. And there's really, um, I don't, I'm hoping that they know now. When I was really deep diving on that, it was unknown. So some camps, it's similar to the question, if your cotton is grown with pesticides, are the pesticides still in the fabric? So I don't think people know yet, the scientists. I don't think they know uh, about that. And it's it's just, if
It's
someone,
a hard one.
it is very hard.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you could do a couple of things. You could like look for really a long time ago, or research when the really harsh dyes came in. I think that is more recent. Uh, and try to find things before, like get to know brands before if you're really super chemically sensitive. Um, so maybe other people aren't, and so that would work great for them thrifting. It solves a huge problem of not bringing more clothing into existence. So yeah, I hope that helps people. I'm not sure.
yeah. Thank you, Laura. So, you know
Yes.
what? I also want to share with people the other thing that we have on this workshop. So before I let you go back to your store, looks like people are coming in. Is there any final encouragement that you would like to share with everybody?
Well, when you brought up the intentional gifting and hand making gifting and just actually thinking about the items that go into your gifts, I think it's like me, where it's an accidental slow down because I was so used to racing here, racing there, filling the cart, checking out, racing to the car, unloading, just like a normal way of living. That when you start thinking about things, how is this going to affect my health? How do I want to touch this? I'm sure people have heard that within 3 seconds of handling receipt paper, BPA shows up in your bloodstream. So that's not just receipt paper, it's whatever you're touching.
Touching.
That same thing is happening. So when you start thinking about that, you really do accidentally become more intentional. Your life slows down. And I believe that you will get more out of intentional gifting than the recipient just by being so mindful. And I think that you're going to just love um, your moments with that gift. It's going to be just as meaningful for you and just as like probably much more fulfilling spending that time uh, creating something that's rather than the racing around and having your heart race and
Yeah.
so
Thank you. That
yeah.
is such a wise thing to say. I mean, honestly, I agree. I mean, when I used to do like regular gifting, I got so anxious, like going to the mall, fighting for a parking space, bringing stuff home. And then I'm like, who am I going to gift this to? And then the wrapping paper, which I've also talked about, very toxic. But before, Laura, and you're welcome to stay on for as long as you want, but I know you might get busy. So, I also want to say these beautiful La Chamba cookware. I got one from Laura's online store, Shop Toxie Free. But this is the stuff, like you don't have to make everything yourself. Like I'm not going to make my own cookware, right? Like I'm not going to fire my oven. I'm not, but you could. So if you do want to intentionally buy something, buy something that's going to last, that has no plastic attached to it as much as possible. And that's really going to like be useful for the recipient. So I love these. And if you got something like this, you could put in like your the salt that I'm going to show you how to make. You can put in some homemade items, wrap it up in a nice big cloth, and it makes such a meaningful gift as opposed to getting just something randomly, from Walmart or Amazon or something. So thank you, Laura. That's great.
Laura, we have a couple more questions for you if you're game to answer.
Sure.
Somebody is asking, is there a way to move towards toxic free without breaking the bank? Especially for those of us who are still carrying a lot of extra weight.
Yes. So another great question. And just like the cookware, that Karen was so thoughtfully sharing. For me, money has always had to be a factor. And I literally cooked everything in one small little clay cookware. And I did that for at least a year. So doing, you know, one step, like something that, and really, I think the piece of cookware was $30. So it was, I just was very determined for my health. So these items, and I still have the pan. So I've used it thousands and thousands and thousands of times. And so the good thing again is the end result. So not only do you feel the fulfillment of taking care of yourself and your health in the best way, you are investing in something that is going to last, where you can even pass it down. So I don't have to go shopping at all anymore. My items are all the same. I used to go to a place that starts with a T. It started here in Minnesota every week, and I always was spent too much because I put things in my cart that I didn't need. I always struggled with overspending and then figuring out where to store it, how to clean it, the stress of not using it, and then what do I do with an unused item like that? So now my items are all intentional, and again, the liberation of that is unbelievable. And it's also an investment of healthcare. So I'm investing in that now so that I don't have problems later as well. And the literally, like, our space is so uh I don't want to say small. I mean, we do live in a small place by choice, but having less belongings is one of the absolute best ways that you can protect your health, because all of the shedding of the microplastics, all of the dust is where you find the most toxins. And so many books talk about just having minimal items. And when you have really good handmade items, you don't need anything more. So I actually spend much less money than I ever did before. It's just a shift in the beginning. I make these coaching cards, and one of them says a $30 sweater worn 10 times is $3 a wear, and a $300 heirloom sweater that's worn thousands of times is 3 cents per wear. So it may seem a lot in the beginning. And so what I encourage people to do is to just stop the regular spending for a few months or a year, and at the end of it, you will have the money to invest in the one heirloom sweater, if that helps.
That was very helpful. Do you want to give a shout out to your store? People are asking where you're located.
Thank you. We're online at shoptoxyfree.com. And if you're in Minnesota, we're in Stillwater, Minnesota on Main Street. And if you're not in Minnesota, you should come visit here because it's delightful town here.
I was going to say, I'm going to come and visit.
It's beautiful. It's it was the birthplace of Minnesota. So
nice. Well, thank you so much, Laura. Have a great day at your store.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope everybody goes to visit. If not in person, then at least check them out online. And Laura and Besa, they also teach classes as well. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you. We love you, honey. Bye.
I love you too. Bye. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I'm so glad that Laura was able to come on. And I think she addressed some points that are really, really salient. And like I said, she is like living and breathing it. So I hope that you found some inspiration from her. And now let's move on to the gifting part. And then I also want to, of course, show you how to make the fermented relish. So first of all, when it comes to gifting, and also non-plastic at the same time, I know it's a big challenge, but again, it's that shift in mindset. So what I have started to do, the easiest thing that I started to do was making a flavor salt, because basically you just buy yourself a big bag of salt, sea salt, and you buy some herbs. You don't even have to dry the herbs. You don't have to do anything. So I'm going to share with you the easiest way that you can order something in bulk. So there's a website called Mountain Rose, Mountain Rose Herbs. Vicky, I'm not sure if I gave you that link. Did I? Anyway, okay, so just to be perfectly transparent, you go to mountainroseherbs.com and they have all these pre-blended spice mixes, okay, that do not have salt in it. And I did order this one. You notice it came in a plastic bag, Ziploc. Unfortunately, when you order bulk from companies, they do ship things that are in plastic. I mean, that's kind of out of our hands. But what I do is when I receive these bulk items in plastic, I do take it out and I put it either in a glass jar or something else, because every time that you're activating this thing, it is shedding. We don't see it, but I guarantee you it is. I don't toss this away because, I can still use this maybe to store batteries, to store stationary things or items that you don't need to access all the time. So this is how I deal with receiving things in plastic bags. Now, having done that, all you have to do is get yourself a bag of these spices. This one that I am using is actually one of my favorites. It's just grilling herbs. And the mixture, all organic, is minced garlic, rosemary, black ground pepper, minced onion, thyme, parsley, marjoram, all organic. All right. And you just have to do, scoop some into a bowl and grab your bag of salt. Now, this is a very good quality salt, but again, it comes in, unfortunately, a plastic bag. So with these kind of spice blend, I usually do a 2 parts spices without the salt to 1 part salt. But you can kind of adjust that a little bit, because what you want to do is create something that's kind of like a easy salt for people to use to sprinkle onto their food without it being overly salty. So again, my usual proportion for a herb salt is 2 parts herb, 1 part salt. And as you can see, this is sort of what I have here. Next thing is you get yourself a glass jar. This is the French style Le Parfait glass jar. You can use any new, it doesn't even have to be new, just a clean glass jar. And you put your salt into the container, and you probably want to fill it to the top here. I'm just going to add in a little bit more to fill it up a little bit. You got the point, right? Fill it up. And now you have a beautiful blended salt in a beautiful glass jar. That makes a beautiful gift. I mean, I think some of you might have noticed that when you go to a gourmet store and there are all these fancy spice salts, it could cost as much as like $20 or $25 for a jar like this. Okay. But when
Can you tell your friends what kind of salt you're using again, please?
Yeah, actually I will. So because I'm also like Laura, I'm very concerned about what foods also have nanoplastic particles now. Unfortunately, something else to be really concerned about. I actually found this is called wild pink salt. So it is Himalayan salt. Now, Himalayan salt is from the Himalayas in the mountains, but it used to be sea salt, right? Millions of years ago, it was actually, you know, the ocean, part of the ocean, and therefore you get the salt in the mountains. I typically do not use Himalayan salt because a lot of brands basically they dynamite and extract the salt. So it's not an eco-friendly way. I did find this particular brand that says it is extracted in a very eco-friendly way. And it's called the Wild Foods product and it's toxin free. So hopefully this is a better salt. I'm just kind of experimenting around. And so this salt is called wild pink salt, ancient salt from deep within the Himalayan mountains, but extracted in a way that's not harmful to the environment. So that's the salt I'm using, but you can use any good quality sea salt for this particular blend. So now you have a gift that's worth really, I would say $25 if we want to put a price tag on it. But the fact that you made it yourself with these organic ingredients is much more, right? And like Laura said, when you prepare these gifts, I think the first recipient is yourself because when you're making this at home, you can crank on the music, have a glass of wine, kombucha, whatever, and really enjoy the process of creating gifts from the heart. So that's one nice thing, super easy. If you're doing this in bulk, you just put it into a big bowl, you line yourself up with 10 different jars, and you just fill them up. What I do suggest is when you're doing a gift like this, don't just give it to the person without anything on it, because a lot of times when people receive gifts like this, they don't know what to do, right? You can't assume that they're going to know this is a high quality organic mixed salt blend. So what you want to do is put a little label on it. I have these little craft things that you can get at any craft store. And you want to really just, maybe use a fountain pen. I do. Write down what the salt blend is. And you could even give it like a name, a particular name of your own. You could call this the Mediterranean gourmet salt blend, hand blended by you, okay, with love, and then wrap it around the container. And this makes a really five-star gift. So when the person receives it, they know exactly what it is, and they know that it was hand blended by you. It just elevates the experience so much more. So always label your handmade products. All right, so that is salt. Now we're going to move on to another super, super easy. We're going to blend tea, okay? And you can either use a glass jar, any glass jar that you like for tea, or you can get something like this. This is made from tin with the top, okay? And you can just Google around to find things like this that you can buy, like maybe 10 or 12. And so this can be reused again and again for the recipient. And we're just going to blend a super, super easy tea. So the blend that I'm going to share with you is calendula, roses, and chamomile. Calendula and chamomile are, and they have antioxidant properties. They're very soothing. And rose really gives it a beautiful color and is also very, very good for the skin. So you can blend something with different herbs to make it very unique. So what I do with the blend, again, is you can grab yourself a bowl because you want to mix everything. Okay, so here, now this is calendula. When I got the calendula, it came in this ginormous bag. Okay? But what I do is I transfer it to here because I am using it all the time. That way, again, I'm not activating the Ziploc bag. And you just want to grab yourself some calendula. For this blend, I like to use 2 parts calendula, 2 parts chamomile to 1 part rose. But you can do any ratio that you want. So I'm just going to eyeball this. So calendula, chamomile, And you can get all of these organic herbs from Mountain Rose Herbs. So here's my chamomile, more or less. And then I have dry rose petals. These I actually gathered myself on the morning of a full moon at an organic rose farm. And a lot of people don't know that the rose petals are edible. You can just eat them. I do. So, and of course they make a beautiful tea. And then you have your
Do you have
rose
any
petals.
suggestions for a chamomile substitute, Karen?
Oh, is someone allergic to it? Is that the question?
They just are asking what could you use in place of it?
Oh, okay. Well, for this particular blend, I mean, you don't have to put in chamomile. You could put in,
Yes, she's
well,
allergic.
yeah. So you can actually, another blend that I make is with calendula, nettles, and rose petals. The nettles is really good for anybody who has allergies, especially hay fever. So basically, you just, blend this so that it's all evenly distributed. And if you want to put it in here, a little funnel helps so it's not falling all over the place. Put it into the tin until it's to the top. And again, when you go and order gourmet teas online and they have a blend like this, a container like this is going to cost you at least $15, okay? Or more. When you're packing in tea, though, you do want to press down a little bit because they're so bulky. So it's okay to pack it to the top and press it down a little bit before you seal your container. So we have a beautiful container of tea here, and you just put the lid on it. Okay, and again, label. You could get a little sticker, but like Laura says, be careful of the stickers that you buy even, because some of the dyes could not be the best. But do the best you can. If you have some stickers lying around at home, you can definitely use those stickers, label it, and you could even, as a nice, thoughtful gift, get a little strainer and attach it to your gift, wrap it with a ribbon or a string. You can attach it to the gift with a little ribbon like this. And now you have a tea blend with a tea strainer that someone can brew their own tea at home. And the reason why, there's actually another reason why I like to give teas that are loose and not in tea bags. Okay, can you guys guess why? Okay, I'll tell you. Some of you probably know. There has been a lot of studies showing that tea bags shed an embarrassing and obscene amount of nanoplastics or PFAS or other toxic chemicals into your tea. That tea bag, there's only the exception of maybe one or two companies that create tea bags that are so-called non-toxic, but a tea bag is highly toxic because when you think about it, to produce the bag where it can encase the tea without breaking, and when you dip that into hot water, so the components that makes this particular material to serve as a tea bag has a lot of weird stuff in it. And then you're exposing it to hot water. And if you're using that tea bag over and over, sometimes people use a tea bag 2 or 3 times, you're steeping a lot of toxic ingredients into your tea bag. And yes, unfortunately, a lot of organic teas come in tea bags. So this I know might be a hard thing for people to learn about because I know there's a lot of tea lovers who just use a tea bag. But really, if you are a true tea lover, the only way to enjoy tea is really loose teas. That way, you don't have the problem of a toxic tea bag. Um, and the production of each tea bag, right, also requires resources. And a lot of the tea bags that come in boxes are wrapped in plastic. So one great way to start is to make something like this, and I highly encourage you to do that. And if you really love the person that you're gifting to, you can even get them a little teapot like this, stainless steel glass. I'm actually drinking the tea blend that I made, and they can turn it into a ritual of tea. And guess what? Every time they make the tea, they are going to think of you. I guarantee you. So again, you want to label it, give some accessory items that they can use. A tea strainer is great, or get them a teapot like this. And this makes a wonderful, thoughtful gift.
Karen,
All right.
some people are saying that they have trouble finding loose teas, and I know that you are a
Okay.
tea connoisseur, so maybe we could suggest places online for loose tea. And then the
Yeah.
second question is, if you open the bag that the tea comes in and use it as a loose tea from the tea bag, is that a solve?
Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah. I mean, I see. Yeah. I mean, if you have a lot of teas in tea bags right now and you don't want to throw them away because it is wasteful, yes, the solution would be to cut open that tea bag and like brew it. That is much better than using the actual tea bag. Yeah, definitely. Then you would just want to get yourself a tea strainer, that's not made from plastic. This is made from metal. Yeah, there's a lot of tea strainers. So definitely, if you have teas that are in tea bags, you can clip it open, maybe put all of them into a little container like this, and then use it up. And then in the future, if you want to get loose teas, again, Mountain Rose Herb is a great company. I'm not affiliated with them or anything, but they're just a great resource. There are companies that do sell loose teas. One, if you are in Berkeley, it is called Teance, Teance. Another herbal company that you can purchase online, it is called Star West Botanicals. Star West Botanicals. You can order bulk tea. So, for instance, yeah, I have this. This is from Star West Botanicals. It's Dragonwell tea. And you know what? Again, it does come in these Ziploc bags. But if you order, let's say, 12 ounces or even a pound, if you do the math, it is a lot cheaper than buying tea bags. So in the long run, when you buy in bulk like this, you save a lot. Plus, with the extra that you're not using, you can make gifts. You can also make a tea blend using like black tea with rose petals. So there's all kinds of blends. I mean, once you get going, your imagination, just let it go wild, And you can also make it very therapeutic. If you learn a little bit about the what each herb does, then you can create a blend that will help the person that you're gifting it to. For instance, I mentioned nettles, great for people who have allergies. Chamomile, if you're not allergic to it, wonderful to have a cup of chamomile tea if you have insomnia. So you can create very unique tea blends for the person that you are gifting to. All right, so we have that. And now I'll do one more, and then I'm going to share with you the fermented relish recipe because I don't want to run out of time. And then I'll show you some ways of wrapping your gift because the other thing that we haven't really addressed is wrapping paper. Most wrapping paper are also very bad for the environment. And if they have like glitter, sprinkly things on them, whatever, you can bet that it is shedding plastic particles, other toxic chemicals. It might be shedding mercury or cadmium because all these fancy wrapping paper, again, they are usually for one-time use. The more fanciful and colorful they are, the more toxic they are. And really, like, the person's going to rip it open, right? And then when they're doing that, it also makes the environment toxic. So it's kind of ironic that, we think of gifting and then the wrapping and the ribbon and everything, but we have to go back to thinking, what does it do for our health? And especially if you have kids, around the Christmas tree, they're unwrapping all these gifts and they could be inhaling an enormous amount of toxins. All right, so one more idea. You can make yourself a big batch of homemade vinegar and get yourself a smaller bottle. These bottles are very nice. They're anywhere between $5 to $7, depending on the size. Transfer that into a bottle. So one bottle of this can be 3 bottles of gifts for your loved ones. And if you want to be fancy, you can also put in a sprig of rosemary or something like that to make it look visually more festive. So, and if you don't want to make your own vinegar, guess what? You can buy a big bottle of vinegar and then put it into these little nice jars here and gift them. Super economical and simple. And then the person can reuse this jar over and over. And by the way, when you're gifting people these, just make sure you tell them like, oh, after you're done with it, reuse that jar because, it's really beautiful. So just kind of share also the ethos of reusing. Tell them not to toss this away because this jar can be used over and over and over again. All right, so that's another idea. Now I will go to the fermented relish. So this relish, I've been making it almost every year around this time of year because persimmons are in season, cranberries are in season, and if you celebrate Thanksgiving or any kind of festive meal around this time of year, people tend to use the cranberry to make a relish, but they put a ton of sugar in it and basically, you're just eating sugar with whatever you're eating. So I decided to ferment because you guys know I'm crazy about fermentation. And so now you've turned it into a healthy condiment and it's also very beautiful too. And you don't have to use any kind of fancy fermentation top. I will show you very quickly how to make a batch. All right, so Vicky, if you could go to camera number 2.
Okay. Karen, somebody asked about scobies forming on the top of vinegar.
Okay. Let me address that after I finish this. But could you remind me, Vicky?
Sure.
Thank you. All right, let's move things over. Okay, so in the interest of time, I've already chopped a lot of the ingredients. So it is the persimmons cut into little cubes. We have cranberries here, and I do both. I keep some of the cranberries whole because they look so pretty, but it's actually good to cut some of them. And I don't know if you guys can see this up close. When you cut the cranberry, I mean, you guys, for years, I didn't think to cut a cranberry, believe it or not. But when I made this recipe, I'm like, well, one cranberry might be like too much to bite into. Let me cut it in half. And then when I cut it in half, I saw this beautiful pattern. I don't know if you guys can see it.
Yeah, we
It's
can
like
see
a
that.
Celtic, yeah, it's like a Celtic cross. Look how beautiful that is. I mean, I was just beside myself when I cut a cranberry in half into slices. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. So I do a bit of both for this particular relish. You just mix it together with some red onion. And also you can add in any herb that you like. It could be parsley, it could be dill, it could be tarragon. I'm using dill today because I got a nice bunch from the farmer's market. So you can chop up the dill and then you can grate some ginger into your relish. And you're just going to set up a fermentation jar. So for those of you who have crowdsource or Shuami, you know how that goes. And if you don't, you can use any wide mouth jar. Vicky, can you drop the recipe link for everybody who wants to see the recipe?
The link is there, and
Great.
a question about removing skins from persimmons. Do you remove your
Okay. You know what? You can if you want to. It makes the relish a little softer, but usually I don't because the persimmon skin is kind of like apple skin, so it's really up to you. Oh, and by the way, this is very important. Primarily, there are two types of persimmons. There's the one that looks like a squashed down apple, and then there's the one that is kind of a longer, kind of teardrop shape. To make this recipe, do not use the hachia. That's the long type. This is the fuyu. You need to get this type because the hachia, you can't even really eat it until it becomes very, very, very soft. So it doesn't work for this recipe. So make sure you get the fuyu, this particular type. and it's good if it's fairly firm. All right, so we have our mixture here, and then now we're just going to get a jar and put it in. So let me grab my jar. I'm going to use the French Le Parfait jar, but you can use any Weymouth mason jar or this jar. And I scaled down the recipe for this demo. This is only half that recipe. So with the recipe that I gave you, you don't have to make the full amount. You can just make half and just use a smaller jar. So I'm going to put it into the jar here. And that looks like it's just about the right amount. Perfect. All right. And you can use a crowdsourced pounder or the back of a wooden spoon and just kind of level it off a little bit. And then the next thing we do, we're going to add whey, W-H-E-Y, which is the whey that you get when you strain yogurt. Okay, so I'll show you what I did here. I basically spoon about a third cup of yogurt. Vicky, can you do the camera too? Yeah. I put the yogurt on a cheesecloth and I put it over this glass jar and I put the ring on it and this sat here for about, I would say, an hour and a half. And now actually with this little yogurt here, this is kind of like Greek style yogurt. It's nice and thick. So I'm going to have this after our workshop with some honey. I'll put this here for now. And this is whey, the liquid that comes from straining the yogurt. Why you would want to put whey into this particular fermentation is because it is all fruit. And we're not going to let it ferment for a long time. And so to ensure that it has the probiotics, you can add in about a couple of teaspoons of whey to make sure that it has the probiotics while it's fermenting for a shorter period of time. But if you are allergic to dairy, you don't have to do this. You can also add in a probiotic capsule, or you don't have to do it at all. This is just to really ensure that it has probiotics in it. And then the last thing we do is we fill it up with brine, which is salt and water. So because I use a lot of brine, I always have a brine in my beaker. But if you were not doing this, you would just mix the salt with the water, and you have the proportion there in your recipe. Pour it
Karen,
over.
we're getting lots of questions about the dairy aspect. Is there a alternative to whey? Can you use plant kefir? Can koji work?
Good questions. Let me finish this setup and I'll answer those two questions. What was the other question I was supposed to answer?
About scobies.
Scobies. Okay, all right. Okay. All right. So once you have this, you can either do the jar in a jar method to set up your fermentation, which you guys have seen in my other workshop, or you can use one of these fermentation tops. So I'm just going to use my shoe and knee top here today, put it on, secure it, make sure it drops down, pour some tap water here, and you are set up to ferment. If you have the whey added to it, then I would say it's ready in about 4 to 5 days. If you don't, then let it go for just a little bit longer, at least 7 or 8 days. That way you have a fermented relish. And because the persimmon is naturally sweet, it sort of complements the cranberry, and you just have a very nice, naturally flavored relish. However, I know some of you, or at least maybe your family members, really like that sweet relish. And I'm not going to deny you. No. So what can you do to make this relish sweet, but not as sweet as adding processed sugar? What you can do after fermentation is you can take some out and add maple syrup to the fermented product. That way it's naturally sweet with maple syrup, which is so great, right, for the season. And you're not adding in a ton of white sugar to make a traditional, so-called traditional relish. So that would be my suggestion. Let it ferment naturally, and if you want it more sweet, add in some maple syrup. Okay, and this is kind of chunky. If you want a smoother relish, you can pour it into a food processor, pulse it a few times, with whatever sweetener you want to add, and then that makes it into more of a kind of pourable relish slash sauce. So these are just suggestions for you. All right, now let me get to the two questions. One, what happens when you have a SCOBY that forms on your vinegar? That SCOBY is totally harmless. And for those of you who like to experiment with making vinegar, if you get a SCOBY, save that SCOBY because that could start your next batch of vinegar. So a SCOBY is totally safe. If you're uncomfortable with it, you can give it off to the composting. But if it forms in your vinegar jar, it's totally fine. It's like the mother vinegar or the child vinegar. Okay, it's part of the matrix of vinegar making, so totally safe. I hope that answers the question for that. Yeah. Okay, and then the other question was, what was it, Vicky?
We're talking about alternatives to whey for
Whey,
people.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I totally understand. If you cannot use whey, then yes, there are there are coconut-based yogurt now that's available. So you can do the same thing. You can strain the coconut yogurt, although depending on the brand, it may not give you as much whey as dairy-based yogurt. So you might have to use a little bit more to get that 1 to 2 teaspoons. The other way is you can use a probiotic capsule. So if you are taking probiotic supplements, you can break a capsule into the recipe and kind of mix it around and ferment it with that. So those would be good options. Or like I said, you don't have to. You can just let it ferment a little bit longer. All right, so any other questions pertaining to the relish?
Somebody is asking, can you please say the name of the fermentation lid that fits the wide mouth mason jars?
Oh, yes, of course, yeah. This is called Crowdsource. Vicky, maybe you can just
I'm going to
type the
drop the
name.
link, but they're saying they have the Shuami, but they do
Mhm.
not have, and they have a lot of mason jars, so we can maybe address that.
Yeah, so this was my original version. However, I stopped production about a year ago, but we are bringing it back. So right now it's not available. Hopefully it will be made available again in December. But we will
Okay.
definitely let you know.
I'm putting in all the links at this point because Karen, it is past 11 now.
Okay, yeah, sorry you guys, we went a little bit over. Before we go, and if you need to leave right now, thank you for joining me. If you can stay on for a few minutes, please do. All of the participants who register, you will get the recording, and you will also get all of the links again that we shared. Okay, so for those of you who need to go, have a lovely, lovely weekend, and thank you. So remember, think eco gifting, and ultimately, like what Laura said, is really a gift to yourself. So for those of you who can stay, I just want to share with you a few options that I do to wrap my gifts in. Now, this one I just thought about recently and I love it. I'm just like patted myself on the back. So you know how people are using beeswax now to wrap food because they're trying to not use plastic wrap. And these are fairly expensive, so to speak, when compared with, a roll of saran wrap. But the health differentiation is priceless, right? Plus the environmental factor. So you can actually get these in a roll and you can cut out a big piece and you can use this as the wrapping for a gift. Look how beautiful this is, right? No toxins here. And you can wrap, let's say, this tea. You can wrap the tea in this. I might need to do another workshop on how to really wrap things nicely in fabric. But you can wrap it in this. You can scrunch the ends, put ribbons on them, and this can be a gift. And you should tell the person, like, this is a beeswax that can be reused over and over. So this is a wonderful, beautiful, colorful way of wrapping gifts. And the other more traditional way really inspired by Asia, primarily from Japan and also from Korea, is to use what is known as a furoshiki, like a square cloth, to wrap things. This is a cotton cloth, so it can be reused over and over. And Vicky, can you give camera two? I just want to show people how to wrap it properly if you have something.
Karen, can you tell your guests if they will receive copy of the chats? There were lots of links in the sidebar in the chat room. Do that?
I may be able to download the chat, and if I do, I will share it with everybody. You mean links from other people that other people shared?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I'll try and do that for sure.
Okay,
Okay, so in order to use a furoshiki, or basically it's just a square piece of cloth, you want to do corner to corner. So this is the salt blend, and you should do this first. Okay, I'm not the greatest person in doing this, but you guys got the idea, right? So then you make a little bow with it, and then you take the other two corners and you do the same thing. And now you have a naturally beautiful gift that is non-toxic. I probably should have done this label in. Okay, so then you have a gift like this. Look how cute is that? And you can like just turn the red side out. Now it looks like a little rabbit. Okay, you guys got the idea, right? So you can do something like this as a gift where even the wrapping is reusable again and again. And if you want to learn more about that, there are books. This is gift wrapping ideas from Japan. And basically, I just want to show you, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to use the piece of cloth to wrap things beautifully where we're not buying wrapping paper. And one last thing I want to share, which I think is also a good idea, and you don't have to do this. You can go to, for instance, the Ecology Center in Berkeley, and you can order these online. These are organic Muslim grocery bags where you can put your vegetables in to store in the refrigerator without using plastic. You can get several of these, and these can be your stocking stuffers, right? Put stuff in, hopefully non-plastic, eco-friendly stuff or homemade cookies or whatever, and give this bag as a gift, again, reusable. Oh, and one more thing I totally forgot, you guys. You can bake some cookies. This is I think gift idea number 5. Bake some cookies, chocolate chip cookies, put it into a glass jar. I baked some more this morning. And actually this recipe is grain-free. It's made from hazelnut and almond flour. And I'll share that link with you when I send you the replay. Put it into a nice big jar. I like these Le Parfait jars because they are wide mouth and easy to maneuver. And then you have a beautiful gift of homemade cookies. And if you want, get yourself a really big piece of fabric, like this one here. All right, this is actually made by a friend of mine in San Francisco. It's like a very large furoshiki, and she's Korean. So in Korean, it is called bojagi. Same idea. And you can wrap this jar of cookies nicely. Again, doing the same thing. Or if you're lazy, you can just scrunch it up and put a bow on it. Okay? Either way, it is really beautiful. And again, it is a very thoughtful idea because the person can use this fabric for almost anything. All right, so I think that's all I have for you. Any questions, Vicki?
We covered the questions, but people are now very enthusiastic about a wrapping in fabric workshop, Karen.
Okay, I know. I might ask my friend who makes this because she can wrap things a lot better than I can. And she can wrap it so that there's a handle. You can turn this into a handbag. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to wrap these furushikis or bojagi. So yeah, it'll be a fun thing to do. And by the way, if you want the recipe to these cookies, they're on my website at kareniscooking.com. And you can Google cookies and the recipe will come up. But I will also share the link with you. All right, so anything else? Do we have any other
Yes, one more
questions?
question. Did you use hard or soft persimmons for the ferment?
I use hard, the fuyu. Do not use the hachia. Use the fuyu. And they
I think they mean like what stage of ripeness?
Oh, okay. They should be the same firmness as a very crispy apple, if that helps.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then once you've fermented, how are you storing your relish?
Okay, so once you ferment it, it becomes a little softer, so it's a nice mouthfeel. Store it in the refrigerator. I mean, remove whatever fermentation device you're using and store it in the refrigerator. Because this is primarily fruit, though, it will not last as long as, let's say, a batch of sauerkraut. So you should enjoy it within about 2 weeks.
And then do you have a vinegar recipe to link or a vinegar making video?
I think I must have done it in the past. I'll have to dig it out. But this recipe here is actually from my friend Kirsten Shockey, who has the fermentation book, and it's the citrus scrap vinegar. I do have the recipe available, so I'm happy to share the recipe with you. It's a great way to use citrus peels of any kind.
Okay,
All
that's
right,
it.
any other? All right, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Vicky, for being there.
Thank you so much,
Everyone,
Karen.
if we
Happy
don't see
holidays.
if we don't see each other before the holidays, happy holidays, however you celebrate, and yeah, and happy gifting.